Well, it's 20 years of war. You know, they had that absolutely their version of their brutal Sharia law from 1996 to 2001. And finally, the last US soldier has boarded that flight out. Of course, we've seen footage overnight of the Taliban, you know, gunfire into the air, celebrating that they have finally recaptured Afghanistan. And we saw that, you know, lightning offensive over the last, you know, 1.5 weeks, and it's just been absolutely gutting for people there. There are, this morning, hundreds and hundreds of people trying to pour over the border into Pakistan. But let's just take a quick look at, you know, the cost of this. It's been really, really high. 2,400 US troops have died in the last 20 years. We've had 1,100 coalition troops that have also died, and about 100,000 Afghan soldiers that have also lost their lives in this crisis.
Whilst obviously we've been talking about those who are leaving, there are many left behind, and many of whom are frightened for their lives. Absolutely.
I've been speaking to people that are there, and they are just so fearful. And, you know, there's about 1,000 Afghans, eligible Afghans, that Defence Secretary Ben Wallace has said we've left behind and we can't get now. And it just points to questions about how is the UK or how is the US going to go back into Afghanistan? Will they have to? Are they going to have to conduct these over-the-horizon attacks to prevent ISIS-K from re-emerging? The RAF, the head of the RAF, has said this morning they are prepared to conduct those. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
And you've been speaking to somebody who sadly is in hiding, an interpreter. Tell us exactly what they said.
Well, this was a really tragic story, actually. I can't tell you his name and details because we need to protect his identity, but it's been an absolutely tragic one. And we spoke the other night, and he is currently living in a shelter in a stranger's garden after the terror attacks. He witnessed, you know, 170 odd people that were killed on that night. He says he's just traumatised by it. He says his wife is just so depressed she can't talk anymore. He is struggling for food in this garden. It was just absolutely tragic, and it's very rare that you are brought to tears as a journalist looking at this, but it's that moment that he told me that he would rather be dead than be alive in the run-up to the terror attack. And let's have a listen.
I cannot even express my feeling that what happened that night with me and what happened that day that terror attack happened. It was like we said, we were wishing that somehow before this all happening, we wish to die.
You wish to die?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. I couldn't do anything for my family. I couldn't do anything for my wife. I was taught that I work for a powerful government. They won't let me to come this way. I never thought of this situation, man. I never thought of this situation.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I know the words that I'm saying. It will create something that you were imagining how I go through, but it will not give that feeling that I felt that night.
No, nothing can ever explain
I was
that.
in the worst situation at the second day of that day, when the queue people of there was a lot, but the Taliban started beating people. Everyone ran everywhere. I just lost my wife. I couldn't get her, and I searched her for 2 hours, and that was the day that I wished that I wished to not live.
It is utterly horrific. And, of course, he witnessed the attack. And these are memories that are seared on his memory. But in telling the story, of course, we all get a sense of just how terrible this event was.
Well, exactly. And he was saying this is nothing that he's never going to forget this moment. He was telling me as well about in the run-up when he had to flee his home. His whole family had to leave his house. His father then went back to his home to collect some clothes for his sister. The Taliban were at his house. They attacked his father, broke his leg in 2 places, left him on the street to die. They were pressing him for information about his son's whereabouts. They said, no, we can't, I won't tell you. And then they left him on the street to die. But then, of course, he went to Abbey Gate, spent 4 hot dusty day and nights there. He said then he wanted to die, but then this is what happened when he witnessed the terror attack.
That explosion that happened, that affects my wife, and she couldn't walk anymore. She was dropped down, and I hardly grabbed him into the shop, and we were waited there to situation to get calm. But the Taliban was beating also people at that situation, and everywhere was a blood smell.
A smell of blood.
Yeah, smell of blood. And we try to manage another route to go from there, but even on that route, people are carrying dead bodies and some things to carry. They are grabbing people. They don't know who they are, who they were. The people are screaming, "Where's my child? Where is my daughter? Where's my son?"
Wow.
And hardly my wife couldn't walk.
It's so distressing, isn't it? I mean, it's just unbearable to think about and to listen to. What are the prospects for this gentleman and his family? He didn't get out.
No.
He's now in hiding. What did he say?
Well, he was eligible to leave, but his extended family, like father and sister, weren't allowed to go. But, you know, I was asking him, what does this mean for you now? And he says, I don't even have time to think about future job prospects under this Taliban government. You know, how are they supposed to run a government? There are banks, there are piles of people outside banks trying to get money out. He's struggling to find food, let alone even think about his job.
And it's keeping alive at the moment.
He says it's about survival, and that's all he can think about right now.